Hey YouTube, it's time for a status update on the fzj80. As you can see, I'm pretty raked. Front's a lot lower than the rear, and I've accrued some parts for this thing. So I've decided to go ahead and put the spacer in the front to make sure I can clear my new 37's. So if we go into the garage, I'll show you my new parts. So first off, I ordered some 1-inch. Here we go. I ordered some 1-inch, or they're 1.1-inch polyurethane spacers for the front, and all that'll bring that front up to where it's level with the rear, giving me a 3-inch lift in the front. And the reason is I've got some goals. This week, let's see if we can get this to focus. This week I picked up, this is a 8.9-inch rear with a factory E-locker. I bought this rear housing, this C-clip rear housing, and here's the third member. This third member has 529s. Open. As you can see, I had to pull the spider gears out to get to the C-clips. And then I have a 529 front with a E-locker conversion, or a cable conversion on the E-locker. So I bought these axles, and they already have the bushing caster correction, which hopefully it'll be enough for my 3-inch lift. I think the most you can get out of them is about 3 degrees. And anyway, so here it is. It's got manual locking hubs on it. Somebody put them on there from an fj80. Anyway, so I'm going 529s, E-locked front and rear. The front's going to be a manual, not an E-locker. It's going to be a cable conversion, and the rear is going to be E-locked. So you guys will get to join me. I'm going to build my own wiring harness, overhaul the electric motor, and make sure everything works. But anyway, here's the housing with the E-locker. Try and turn it for you so that I don't flop off my jack stands. But look right in there. There's where the motor and the actuator and all that stuff bolts to. So basically what I'm going to do is unbolt everything off of this housing. So all the brake lines, the calipers, the rotors, the e-brake assembly, all of that's going to get unbolted off this housing. Then I'm going to put the 529s into this third member with the E-locker. I'm going to do that all myself, all on video for you guys to learn how to do ring and pinions. I've done lots and lots. I used to do Toyota thirds on the side. So we're going to be using my outers, but we have to use, from what I've been told, the E-locked 8.9 inches. This axle is different. Plus the housing is different, so you can bolt that E-locker third member in. So we're going to go ahead and use this housing and axles. We're going to put the 529s out of that third member into this third member. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and check the pattern, which I'll show you guys. The gear pattern is where the ring gear rides, or where the pinion gear, this is the pinion gear, the pinion's in here, and it turns this, and that's what turns your axles. These are the axles. These axles would go into the slots here, the side gears. And then your drive line turns your pinion turns your ring gear, and the carrier turns your axles. For those of you that know more about cars, it's pretty simplistic stuff, but anyway, you're going to learn how the ring and pinion work, how the carrier works, how the e-locker works, because we're going to be going through all of that. But before I tear this third member apart, because it's a used gear pattern, I have to pattern it, which means I have to paint the gear surfaces, pattern it, take pictures of the pattern, so that way when it's time to put these ring and pinions into that third member, I will have to match this pattern. Otherwise you get just a horrible sound as the gears break back in if you get the patterns off. So that's all stuff that's coming up. And here are my 37's. These are the meats that I'm going to be putting on. They're old, but they look like they've been indoors most of their life, so they're not too weather cracked. But it's going to be mostly pavement pounder anyway. Came across some shocks, and then we're going to be putting a, you know, the guy just gave me this snorkel, so we're just going to put it on. I wasn't planning on running a snorkel, but I do think they look cool on the 80s. So that's my update. Parts are starting to pile up. Now the other dilemma I have, this thing's going to be really wide, and so which means the tires are going to be further away from the kingpins, and I'll explain that. So basically, because these are a 15-inch rim, the rim won't fit over the caliber. So now I have to space the rim out far enough to where it'll miss this caliber. So, so what it takes is a 1-inch spacer. But I came across some really used 1.25 spacers, so that's what I'm going to be using all the way around. And on top of that extra width of the spacers, I'm also going to be running these 10 wide by 15 with 3.5-inch back spacing, which means that where it mounts to the wheel mounting surface, it'll be the wheel spacer is further back, pushing the rim further out. So this fj80 is going to be super wide, which makes all my rub points at turning even more difficult to clearance, because the wider this tire gets out from the kingpins, the more it walks when you turn. So I'm probably going to have to get rid of all of this body, probably a lot of this body here, because when it flexes up and turns, the width of that tire comes back this way, and it'll probably hit the body here. I'm going to have to get rid of a lot of body. I'm going to take these fender flares off today. I'm going to have to get rid of a lot of body underneath here, but I'm hoping that I can trim these fender flares and put them back on, because it is going to be so wide. And most all of this is going to have to go, or whatever comes first, an aftermarket bumper. So it's going to be 2 inches of lift, 37-inch tires, but super wide. So hopefully this build works out. Hopefully it's pretty capable by the time I'm done. And I hope you'll join me. Sorry for the bad footage, but it's the best status update I got. Today I'm taking the flares off and the slider, and just to start doing some of the body work. And then yeah, I'll keep you guys up to date.